And again, why wouldn't they mate with women? This guy came down here and he had a boner when he saw a girl. I was like, damn. All right. Well, here with me is Rona, all the way from Norway. And we got some exciting shit to talk about. So, we're going to talk about our homeland in Iceland, about the hidden people and the trolls. And I did a little bit of research there, and I was mind blown not knowing there is so much crazy phenomenon happening in Norway since the dawn of time, or I'm sorry, Iceland since the dawn of time. So, yeah, Rona, tell me a little
Thank
bit about
you.
yourself and where you grew up.
Thank you for having me. And
Yeah.
yeah, I am talking to you from Norway, but I am born and raised in Iceland. So yeah, the volcanic island. And did not realize at all how unknown a lot of what we grow up with as normality, as truth, the vibrant nature, the thin layers of dimensions, the energy. It is very rare and did not realize that until I moved to Norway, but very happy have done so. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. But yeah, and upon that, beginning to like spread in conversations where you come from, I quickly realized that this is very rare. So please fire away. What would you like to know?
Well, again, I was very intrigued about hearing about Iceland and its weird phenomenon with the hidden people. It's been there since the dawn of time. Actually,
Mm.
I found some interesting pictures too. I maybe I could post them up too while we talk. Um, but yeah, no, the I saw some of these ancient paintings and sculptures and some of these rock structures that you guys have there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about these guys here. So it's like one of the oldest depictions too of some of the elves. I think that they'd be
Yeah.
hiding in the rock cliff areas. So do you know any of the old stories, or is there any recent stories of some of these encounters with some of these people?
So many, very many. But I can begin with the origin.
Yeah.
Um, the origin of the hidden people or Huldufolk is connected with the Norse mythology. So the elves are connected to Alfheim, which is like one of the nine worlds of Yggdrasil.
Okay.
And then you have the dark elves or dwarves, if people can think of Lord of the Rings, those that had the technology to carve through stone like cheese. And the Huldufolk is like dimensional people from these worlds. So in Iceland, these dimensions are very thin, very, very thin. And what we know is that long, like thousands of years ago, these gates or portals were very open to travel. So you got Jotuns from Jotunheim or giants
Mm.
in to assist with buildings like the around the world, like heavy buildings that humans could not have done themselves. The dark elves or the dwarves came in with technology to carve these, to masterfully like sculpture these massive buildings and the structure and high technology we would like maybe consider as a form of nuclear energy
Oh.
was in the like was used under the pyramids and in these places, and the star alliance was very important. So a lot of these structures was about get like reading the astrology and how the stars were like aligned to get more power, more information. You have runes, the magic runes that were taught to us by the hidden people. So the runes were essentially a knowledge that came from the dark elves or dwarves and the Hultefolk. So you would put these protective runes in your pants around your knees while traveling back and forth through these dimensions.
Oh,
So when people learn of these runes and the magic around it, they often think of the Vikings, but this is actually like ancient knowledge um, coming throughout these worlds. And throughout time, we have understood that there was what many consider to be Ragnarok, which was a dimensional war that shattered these dimensions, these portals, and the power was cut off. And we have through history um, a lot of nations and people that try to like worship these gods and get that power back, but it was very like in a very scarce like um it was like going from high voltage to batteries basically.
oh,
But
okay.
this old knowledge is there, it's in us, but we've kind of lost contact, except at home. These Because these portals are very thin, it has been somewhat communications between those, and there are a lot of histories, folk histories, where they came to us to ask help in childbirth, for example,
Mm,
and we asked them for assistance in harsh times. So a lot of respect was there, but also, and this is something you read about, that the location of these hidden people, the portals there, where it's the thinnest, when machinery and development has gone forward, um, machinery broke down. People got sick. They People didn't understand why, but it like over and over again until when it would be start to be talked about. People with high seeing would come forward and say, "Well, what are you guys doing? You are walking straight into a a big populations of hidden people. You will never be able to go through there, and you should probably back off before something serious comes because you're pissing these people off." So they would eventually go around
mm,
uh, these locations, and it was put into law that this is protected sightings.
yes.
And people that have tried to develop land in Reykjavik, there is a big stone called Álfaborg, where they tried and backed off, went around it. It was bought up by like a developer that was going to build on it. He eventually gave it back without like explaining why. He changed his mind on building on this land, and eventually it was erased from um, land of development. So
Oh
it's like
shit.
protected, and it is a great land in Reykjavik, but they won't touch it.
I was gonna say too, when I did my research, like more than half the population of Iceland does believe in the hidden people and respects them and like has this relationship with them. Like you said, they even like they had to have their permission to move certain rocks, knowing if it's like a elf's church or an elf's house or just a little village or something of sort or some sort. But yeah, they have to like I don't know who goes to the certain places and maybe has to send this envelope somewhere saying, "Hey, we gotta move this rock to move this certain road here." But if they
Yeah.
don't get any word back, it's like that means no, no, you ain't touching that
Mm.
shit. And then sometimes they do respond back. That's even the more bizarre thing. They do respond back. Okay, you can move that rock. but move over
Mhm.
here at a certain spot. Like it's like
Yep.
what? So again, like it's some of that communication with the government, with these higher realms of people. I mean, that's something to me. That's some X-Files shit right there. And then like this
It
guy right
is.
here, this is a modern day sculpture done by an artist depicting some of these creatures too. There, this could be one of the elves. Who knows? Again, very alien astronaut looking.
Mm.
Maybe
It
a
is
little
actually,
exaggerated, or
yeah.
maybe you know more.
And the like elves are one thing, that is one dimension, and Hultefolk is a different thing, and that's
Mhm.
another dimension. So there are more of them.
Okay.
Uh, and within these dimensions, they have what we call, deer, like different kind of animals, somewhat like ours, but just way like
More
more
bizarre.
precious. Yeah, yeah. They have like cows and sheeps and stuff like that within the Hultefolk dimension, similar to ours. They are described as very plain, very like blue looking, soft
Mhm.
blue color, very beautiful. While the
Mhm.
elves are more of a obscure dressing way. They look they look at themselves as more prestige, similar to what we have seen in like Lord of the Rings.
Sure. Sure.
Tolkien took a lot of um, the Icelandic histories to develop dark elves or dwarves, elves. They are very similar to what is described in the folklores.
Right.
So Lord of the Rings is a very good visual aspect onto what we see them as.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, and but the stones are very the country was assumed to be very young, but in 2019 they discovered it's probably a part of a very old continent that has gone under.
Yeah.
So it's rather very old, very different. And traveling around the country, you will come to places where are very connected to the gods and the history of the gods in Norse mythology. And that those are the places that are like considered very holy. But
Yeah.
it is amazing threading through this history and finding out it's connected with a lot of the world around. And some of us in Iceland um, are born very open. I myself, I'm very, very open. I don't have the walls behind me, so I can see behind me back into my previous lives, and I can um, see around me. I also very open when I dream, so I can dream for things that come. So
Uh-huh.
we are rel I think we are relatively very open and seeing people connected to the energy field and moving out into the world. It both intrigues me, it interests me, but it's also very fascinating meeting people that are so closed when I come from a small tiny island that is so open.
Yeah.
So it is a fascinating journey, but I also kind of hope, and what I see like as my task, if you will, is to maybe just broaden people's perspective. My truth and my being, what I see and what I understand and how my brain works is very different to others. I understand that, but I truly hope that we can maybe broaden perspectives to that there is more than the eye can see.
Mhm.
But I understand that people will find it very strange. They will maybe not find themselves in my truth, and that is okay.
Well, the fact that this this stuff is ingrained in your culture and government means so much, at least for me in my eyes. Like, whoa, this place is special. You guys must have the fountain of youth over there too. You guys are all looking young. But seriously, like, What the hell? No, it makes you even
It
think like
is, yeah,
it makes you even like think like what was that one place that just disappeared? Atlantis. Yeah, like maybe
yeah.
this could be part of Atlantis that this fell into the ocean and be a part of because why so much mysterious stuff not be part of Atlantis as mysterious as Atlantis was. What? Oh man.
I'm reading Snorra Edda, which is like one of the oldest scriptures that, where they collected the knowledge of Norse. You see in Snorra Edda, and you see in the Bible, you see in actually you can see in nature signs of the floods. That there
Mhm.
was a massive flood 11 to 14,000 years ago, where where like civilizations that are now considered to be highly developed were wiped out, and we kind of started over new. So the city of Atlantis is considered maybe to be in Sahara, where they have
Mm.
found um, signs of it being there. Well, after it flooded and then dried, I mean, the climate changes we this are going through, they're not new. This has
Mhm.
been happening throughout the decades, where there are floodings, there is ice age, there is like severe dryness, and the plates are continuously moving. And
Yes.
Iceland is a very good spot to go if you want to feel the power of the nature. I'm born in a village that was recently like engulfed by a volcano eruption,
Mhm.
Grindavik. Um, through this past winter, you have had like we've been having these volcano eruptions around
That's right. I
Grindavik.
did hear. I did hear about
Yeah,
this on the news. Yes, that's right. Did
yeah,
anybody get hurt? No, nobody's hurt.
yeah. There was one that lost his life.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, and this is like a town of 5,000 people that just got evacuated like
Oh,
immediately.
damn.
Yeah, and it's just a ghost town where the structure under the town is gone. It's standing on poles, and then there's like 40 to 60 meters down into the ocean down below the
Wow,
yeah.
that's
It's
crazy.
terrifying. The
Huh.
grass is just like it's laying, literally like hanging on like streets and towns and stuff. So they're just waiting for it to collapse into the ground and just being eaten. So you see the power of nature, and you
Yeah,
kind of get the assumption, yeah, okay, I get it. We have no control. The earth changes, and we will just have to like bow to it. And and it makes you humble. It makes you very humble. But I can also understand how very consistent landscape can kind of like sit in people as no, nothing will change. This has always been here. While Iceland is constantly changing, up and down, up and down. So yeah, we understand, I think, in a broader perspective, how the land is so strong, and we are so tiny.
yeah, yeah,
So looking back and with the histories with the Norse mythology, that is um, kind of like breadcrumbs. You if you read it, you can kind of like connect the dots. And I think that if you would look into the Bible, if you would look into the Quran, you would also find these dots where you can connect them to where store like the stories of what has been put into like a childlike form for us, because our brain just can't comprehend it, so they put it into stories,
yeah,
and it is up to us to connect the dots.
yeah. No, I totally agree. Especially back
Mm.
then too, when like the ancient people were writing this stuff down. They didn't have the exact vocabulary to describe what they were seeing too. So they were doing like a flying shield or a flying chariot with
Mm.
smoke and fire,
Yeah,
But
and
again, like the
I think
ancient
the
structures that
key,
you have here in Iceland, they're gigantic and mysterious too. Like these look like portals, like you would go through, you know, some gateways, stargates.
mm.
But
and
again,
and 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 again, like we have, like I told you previously, in the town besides us, there is
Hmm.
a Stonehenge in Norway, a
Yeah.
construction that could impossibly be made in any easy, like, yeah, we did this. Yeah, no. These are massive constructions, and they have like a weird energy about them, and nobody knows where they came from. They are so old,
Wow.
and but they just respect it, and people kind of like, they know about it, but it is very little known about it. Very little known about it. And I find that to be fascinating. I think that we are going into a time of, like, where information is coming to us again, where
Hmm.
people's minds have opened a lot more. And I yeah, the kind of like a age of awakening.
Yeah.
And I think that's good for us.
Yeah.
And our life and the Icelandic, like, that belief system, I think it's very, like, important now to come forward with it, because like you said, it's so ingrained in us. It's not like um children's stories. It's a fact.
It's a fact.
there
Yeah.
there 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 are
It's,
sightings, there are seeings, there's communication. It's
there's
actually,
organizations. There's
yeah.
people, and it's in your government. Like again, it's
It's
it's. I just never seen it so indulged in any culture. You know,
mm,
you all cultures have these myths and stories, but again, like don't have the power of the government and actually have respect to an ass to move a rock. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That
it's an
is so
active
cool.
relationship.
Yes. And it
Yeah,
should be. That's how it should be. Again, with even with ETs, there's these connections, right? Exactly. We're not like blown off this planet already from some hostile ET race that's like fuck humans, and you know
yeah,
there could be
no,
some benevolent ETs here too, and want to keep things peaceful as much as they can. Or this could be a human zoo, you know, or they're just watching
yeah.
from a distance, watching us destroy each other.
Yeah,
There's
no,
all
I
sorts of
think
theories.
maybe because of the Norse sagas that um we kind of realize that no matter what civilization you come in contact with, there is, like, that, like, civilization. And the Heims, Jotunheim or Alfheim or Helheim, which is like the underworld in Niflheim, there is order. there
Mm,
is there is a way of doing things. It's not going to be coming in and destroying things or taking over whatever. Like, this is communication. Like,
yes.
we are delivering information. And and in the sagas, I mean, this was like, they were cooperating.
Hmm.
There wasn't this trying to take something, because why would they do that? They came to us with technology, they came to
Right.
us with knowledge, and
Right.
taught us
Yeah.
to, like, um work together within the world. It was like a energy field that, kind of like, the atoms. It just worked.
Yeah. I
when
agree
this
with
got,
you.
got when this got shut down, in this disturbance, like, we within us, some of those entities got locked in here. And there's a sorrow, and like, there's sadness, where we feel sad for, like, trolls or
Mm,
Jotuns that got, shut off from their families. And there are stories about them, how they would share with grief the loss of family, where they got, separated
oh,
from them.
oh
Yeah,
shit.
right. So, and because these beings became much, much older than we, they existed for a long, long time. So Norway and Scandinavia in the whole has a lot of stories about trolls in
Right.
Scandinavia, all
Right.
over the place. And then you start researching, you move out of Iceland, you broaden your perspective, and we find that they find markings of these beings in other places of the world, so that they cannot explain, where there be like footprints in stones,
Mhm.
or massive constructions that have been carved down to such precision that there is no way that people could have done it, not with these massive, like 100-ton stones that have been carved in such like zigzag and put together.
Yeah.
Like, no way people could
No,
have done that.
no.
And you stand there and you go like, well, yeah, this makes perfect sense to us. um, because we knew these entities. They walked around the earth. There's a written story about a conversation between two troll women, one in Norway and one in Iceland, where she was telling her how to go through the ocean, because there were steep valleys in the ocean in Iceland, between Norway and Iceland, and she was telling her where to go to not fall into the deep and drown.
Wow.
So like, it goes so far back, but these stories and this knowledge has come forward with us
Yeah.
in
That's
in a sense, yeah, in a very similar sense that it was before things got written down. It was in tellings, it was in heartfelt stories. It is like, yeah, between the 12th and the 16th century that they really start to document it.
that's amazing. Again, I just found these clay figures too. I don't know if some are made of
Yeah,
metals and stuff like that. But again, Thor is one of
yeah,
the classic guys that comes down to Iceland. But again, using tools and giving humans technology and
yeah,
knowledge and interacting with other gods too that are coming down. Uh,
yeah.
and again, why wouldn't they mate with women? This guy came down here, he had a boner when he saw a girl. I was like, damn. So again, even with like sexual relationships with some of these, probably have had must have occurred. Why have not? Why wouldn't they have?
there
Like shit.
there there has been relationship between people and Hultefolk especially,
Okay.
um, but there was also this knowledge: if you leave this dimension to go over to the other one, you will not come back, so
Mm,
do it carefully. So it was often these young men or young women that decided to go, and they knew that they would never come back. But
wow.
then there were also children that made friends with Hulte children that, got to travel back and forth, uh, and came back with like saying that their dimension was so beautiful. Uh, you know, Besides ours, their homes were like very organic and really just incredibly beautiful. So like, some of them were like, I would have rather wanted to live in that dimension, but that means that I cannot see my family again,
Right.
and that is hard. So we had a lot of those stories where people went
Wow.
back and forth, but also came to ask for help. And in that sense, if you made that deal, you, like, often it was with a safe return.
Cool.
But if you would make this deal with the elves, on the other hand, it wouldn't always go as well.
Okay.
People went insane very often. There was
Huh.
talk about, if you communicate with these, you will not like be whole afterwards. What
Wow.
they have and their world is too much for our brains to
Oh,
comprehend. So
sure,
people would,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can
people would
imagine.
lose their minds afterwards.
This is like heaven. Holy fuck. And they come back and say, here, it's like, oh fuck. I'd be the same
So,
way, like shit.
yeah. So there were very strict rules in communicating with the elves versus the Hultefolk. You
Okay.
have way stricter rules, and there is like no, you cannot communicate with those. There is a certain time of the year, around New Year's, where you can see them and communicate with them. Also in Midsummer's Eve is also when you have summer solstice. That winter solstice and summer solstice is also very ingrained with communications with either Hultefolk or elves. So and then you will have to abide with the rules
Right.
of communication with the elves if you want to come back from it. And
Right.
if you do so and you manage to not be lured in with them, they can try to lure you in with like precious gifts, gold, people that you have lost. They can
Yes.
take the form of those you have lost, your mother, your sister. Refrain from that, and um, you will live a very luscious life. You will have a lot of luck.
Wow.
But do you take something from them or speak to them? They will drag you in. So yeah, it also has a dark sides. Of
Yeah.
course it
They seem like
is dark.
they have like a little trickster side to them. They kind of like
Yeah,
they could be like teenagers. They're like, well, we'll lure you
slightly
in and
slightly
we'll
more
tie you to a
vicious,
tree and throw rocks at you after you're throwing a bunch of rocks at us. So yeah,
slightly more
in
vicious.
Iceland, they do warn you, especially the newcomers of Iceland, don't throw rocks because you don't know who you're gonna hit somebody in a different dimension or portals or yeah,
Yeah.
because something bad could happen to you. Again, there's just so much respect for the land that your people have. Again, it shows that there is something very special and very paranormal going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's so cool. And again, why don't we hear about this shit, especially in the like the paranormal world? So again, thank you for speaking up and keeping your culture alive with these stories and keeping these stories alive because they need to be alive and to be,
Oh,
tossed
absolutely.
down. I'm sure all the people in Iceland are telling their children like crazy. But yes,
Yeah.
no, the story needs to be told multiple times. I might have you back on here with me again. 'Cause I have my colleagues would love to hear this story, and especially Daniel from Germany because he knows about the trolls and the gnomes and the fairies and all that stuff in Germany too. That has a
Yeah.
rich culture of
And
that.
I think, and I kind of like strongly believe that it is because of this is active
Yes.
communication
Yeah.
that you kind of like when I was a child, um like I said, I was very open. I've always been, but I didn't have a lot of people around me to teach me how to control what I saw. So
Hmm.
it scared the living shit out of me.
I bet.
And in my young teens, I sought out to be closed down, and just last 5 to 10 years, I've been opening it up again. Now that I have more maturity and a better understanding that this cannot harm me, but it also is a like an exceptional way of downloading information, which I think is very important that those who can, um, that they kind of find somebody to like give them knowledge of how to protect yourself first and foremost, and how to control what comes into you, because not all of it is good. So we understand that it's really important to keep this keep learning this down to our children, as I was self like taught by those around me, around elves and hultefolk, um, often in those places, because I went working on farms as a teenager, and often I would work around very hot spots, and they would give you knowledge. They would teach you, they would educate you, and tell you stories of their fathers or mothers or sisters that had like either seen or knew somebody who had like experience. Everybody knows somebody that has experienced communicating with these entities. So therefore, I think it's always going to be very much alive, because this is a very active relationship we have, because of the dimensions that they are very thin there.
Yes.
I I very like I experienced Norway completely different. It's way more calm, but there is really old energy here, like
Mm,
really old. But it is a lot less vibrant than in Iceland.
wow.
But there is something very old, and but they have a lot more, um I would say, and this is also kind of interesting, coming from Iceland, coming to Norway, where
Hmm.
they have more goblin-like
Hmm.
entities,
Wow.
and a lot of histories about them, where they have these small goblins that do mischief or can be
Wow.
kind.
It's that's
Um,
kind of funny you actually said that. We have something here in America that I just recently found out myself. We actually had a woman on our show, Susie, that actually is kind of knows a lot about the pug wedgie. And we have this like this is what kind of looks like it's a spiky troll like thing that has been inhabited in Americans since the dawn of time, since the Native Americans been talking about these things, like interacting. Kind of they would take children and they would do
yeah.
mischief stuff. They kind of would lead you off a cliff. They would kind of like say, "Hey, we're over here," and like you said, they kind of
Mm,
like maybe transform into something else to kind of play with your mind. But
yeah.
yeah, again,
It's
the
very
Native,
similar.
yes,
Very similar.
the Native Americans in America here take this guy really seriously, as much as you guys take the elves in Iceland very
Yeah.
seriously. So again, that correlation, uh, very interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. Funny, yeah, because this sounds a lot like these little goblins that we have here. Um, but also fairies,
Mhm.
woodland fairies.
Yep.
Iceland doesn't have this woodland that Norway has. It's very scarce of like forests. Most of the forests at home are man-made.
Mm.
The earth has completely different compound to nourish trees, so everything grows really slowly there. You come to Norway and you meet this whole different kind of elements, and the forests here are so big and they are so like wide, and you have like very different, but in some places very old entities, so old.
Mhm.
And some of them really beautiful, some of them not so much. So yeah,
Yeah.
met both, and I totally respect it. It like it gives you like that you need to respect it into the same degree I respect like the Huldufolk of Iceland.
Right.
um you respect those, and most should be fine. You don't, and it won't be that nice,
Yeah.
and you might come out of it slightly less sane.
I lost a few screws when I was in that forest. What the fuck? Damn elves. No, that's so crazy. Oh, it's so again, I love how you have to go to these places with respect. And I think the people who live there warn people they're just, don't disrespect the place, especially if you're a newcomer and stuff like that. And that's so cool. That's almost got like a lot of Native American sense too. Like you respect the land, you respect the things that are in it. That's
Mm.
it'll treat you back too. But yeah, it's so cool. And there's just
Yeah,
so much mystery. And it's
and I think
endless.
like Norway, in probably similar to Germany,
Mhm.
um, you have like what people today look like back and see like witchcraft, but I think it was more like people were so those that were connected with the earth and seeing people, they had a lot of the same, I think, active relationship with these entities that we had,
Mm.
except that it got really dodgy in the dark ages, where Christianity came in, and this correlation got cut off. And I think it's a tremendous loss to for humanity that,
Sure.
I think I'm not going to take any stand on religion, but and I believe that it has been profoundly good for a lot of people. But I also see that there has been we've lost a lot, and the recent awakening, especially after COVID,
Mhm,
um, has kind of like woken people up.
mhm,
And a lot of people are reconnecting and waking up, seeing things differently with a broader perspective. And I think that is a great thing, something I think we could really benefit from. Um, these times are difficult for many.
mhm.
There is a difficult energy around the world. And I think a lot of people feel slightly like hopeless, and that we have no control. So seeing a lot of people turning back to the roots, I think it's super beneficial. We
Yeah.
have so much in our DNA that is from ancient times. These populations that were before these amazing um, like flows of information. It's all sitting within us, deep down with it in our DNA, and people opening up to it. I I think it's like kind of like waking up from a very like long drowsy sleep.
Yeah. I was going to ask you too, is there any weird phenomenon in the water around Iceland? Like you think other weird phenomena, like maybe lights or orbs or even mermaids? Because there's even legends, and even like even today's media, we see there's people catching mermaids or hearing stories of mermaids. I was
Yeah,
just wondering if that might be a beacon for a hot spot, especially if there's so much activity going on in Iceland. You think a mermaid would be like, okay, let's go.
yeah,
People
there
are friendly
is
over here.
absolutely. There is a um, and like few years ago, somebody between Greenland and Iceland, they were doing like this submarine dive, or they were diving, and they caught something that they on film, and it is on YouTube.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, there is a lot of stories of about, because there are such deep valleys in the ocean around, right? That there is a lot of different stories on seeings or of mermaids, kind of like yeah, these mermaid-like people or
mhm.
fishes, but not exactly what they are, but that they just look like nothing else. But also, you like the Greenland shark, it lives up to be like 400 or 500 years old,
Right, right.
and you rarely see them. They
Oh,
live
yeah.
in such depths, and they're really hard to find.
Yep.
But they live to be like 400 or 500 years old.
Isn't
Like
that
that is
amazing?
insane.
That is insane.
So
So much history
so
on Earth has passed through that lifetime.
right?
Even like the tortoise too. Like,
Yeah.
my God, what?
They
What?
live through the span of like 6 generations, 7 generations, easy.
Yeah.
And like if you think of what they saw as, babies, like and we rarely see them.
Hmm.
So what else lives in the depths there? We know
You're right.
nothing of the
No, no,
ocean. We
no,
absolutely know nothing. We
nothing.
barely scratched the surface.
I think the
Yeah.
10 or 8% or 10% of what we know. And then
Yeah.
we just keep discovering new species of fish. And then we have a coelacanth. That's the ancient fish that thought that died out since the dinosaurs, and it's still breeding and eating and living on. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then then the octopus too is like you got to think that might be panspermia, where an asteroid actually might have hit the Earth and created that creature because it doesn't have any fossil records or doesn't have any real ancestors. And then like I heard about the eel too. It has this weird. I think every eel around the world, doesn't matter where it's from, freshwater or saltwater, it always goes to the Bermuda Triangle to breed. And I never can find like film of these things going to this place because they go in these depths. And again, this weird properties of like what a lot of them are like unisex, or they have, I guess, they're born, they can just, don't even have to mate to reproduce. It's just
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
I
And it's
think
like,
being a biologist is probably like never been as amazing as right now, because they
sure.
also are discovering that there's life form in places that they did not realize there could ever be life form, in acid, like caves that have acid, like they live on
Yeah.
acid, which
What the
is
fuck?
paving the way for like realizing there might be life form on different planets that have this like massive gases, and like those sharks that that are living in volcanic
Yeah.
seas.
Yeah.
They are like just chilling and living in such hot waters with around volcanic activity,
Yeah.
and like they're like, how is this possible? Well, we know nothing.
No,
that
no.
that is like, open the perspective, open your minds, and you can see that like the most craziest things are possible. And then when you've done so, you can begin to take in what is actually happening around us, which is incredible,
Yeah.
incredible forces. And
Cool.
we know so little of them, but they are so amazing.
Yes.
So
I like to say Earth is the Disneyland of the galaxy with so much crazy shit that happens here. Like straight up. Like what?
absolutely. And speaking with people that are older souls,
Hmm.
people with open vision, be like backwards, um, it can be truly like fascinating. And like for me, it's, if I speak to people that have greater knowledge, they can like open my mind, and when my mind opens and broadens, um I see deeper, and I think that goes with all of us in like in different perspectives. um where hence like UFOs, I've had one sighting in Norway
Oh,
that I cannot explain,
okay,
where I
cool.
was driving home from work in 2013, and it was in the middle of the night. I was working at a storage unit, finishing a night shift, and driving home, I see this, what I think is a helicopter or airplane,
Mhm.
but it is moving in such a weird, like it is moving like this, and I'm like,
Oh,
how are they doing that? That is one skilled helicopter pilot. And then it's like, that can't be a helicopter. That is impossible. The way it's moving, like, and I'm like, could it be a drone? And I'm like, no, it's so far out that light could not be possible to that light wouldn't be as so. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I am seeing something that I cannot explain.
yep.
And that is bloody brilliant. And it was peaceful. It was like, it wasn't scary at all. It was just like, okay, brilliant. I've seen something very UFO like, and that is amazing. No drama, no nothing.
Mm-mm.
And I think like when you have like an open broad mind and you see something, you can appreciate it. Like, brilliant. I've seen
Mhm.
this. Now when next time I see it, I can, see it from like, I can kind of like explore it more. There is
Mhm.
no fear attached to it. There is
Mhm.
no it isn't based on some conspiracies stuff. It's more like organic and natural. And I would love to explore this more. How did it come here? Is there a dimension in Norway that I don't know about? I would love to know that. So, it puts you on a new path and you start to explore more. And then you find these like Stonehenge in the next town beside me. And there was a complete new energy that was just like mind blowing. And I had a couple of people with me, one of whom was a very good seer. And she said like what she saw when I stood in it was magnificent, like a very forest-like entity stood behind me, and just light, a lot of light, but very old, very, very old.
Whoa.
And it was just like lifting under my hands, and my arms were going without me controlling it, going up and down. And she said, like,
Whoa.
and then I saw just two hands under there, and they were just like lifting your arms back and
Whoa.
forth. And I was standing there going, like, can I have my arms back? No, no, not yet. Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We can do this. So yeah, you go into it with respect and curiosity, kindness. I think you will like discover that there is like so much we miss out on by being close-minded.
Right.
It is like another dimension within our brains that we have like we haven't even touched on it, where we can see way more than we give ourselves credit to if we just open it up. It
Sure.
is like waking up from sleep. It
It
isn't
is.
it isn't that hard. It's not like you have to go to school or like, have to go to a medium school. I think it's more like just broadening it. Is there a chance for this? Is it possible? Stop, listen to your breathing, like feel what's around you.
Hmm.
It's like I think everybody can. It's just an old way of doing things that we have lost.
Right.
We've lost this connection with it, and I think that just like by training it up, don't expect seeing dead people walking around like regular people. They don't know they're
Right.
dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But eventually you can like practice yourself up to the point where you can sense or feel things. But shutting yourself down every time you see something you can't explain, just looking for that logic shit, just know it can't be. You continually shut this part of your brain down.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to some because I think it's very important to know your surroundings. And this stuff has been here since the dawn of time. And our ancient ancestors, enough where they're digging the carving this in stone to make sure us will read it in the future. Like
Yeah.
even though we had to go through their poetry of how they were explaining their stuff, but again, they're speaking truth and they were actually physically interacting with these things. And
Yep.
that's the hardcore part about what I like about the physical interaction with these beings and ancient culture, ancient. I don't know what they are.
If you wind back, if you wind back in Christianity, for example,
Mhm.
beyond what the Bible when it was written, if you go beyond it, you will find that they had these priests and priestesses, high priestesses, which were basically druids that
Mhm.
were very, very connected with, you know, um, with seeing and feeling, and they interpreted God's word in such a sense, and every single prophet has been a seer,
Mhm.
somebody who can interpret the words and what's coming from God. So it's strange to me how it in one sense it is so welcomed, and in that sense we do have this ability still. We search for it in religion.
Mhm.
We search for the Messiah. We search for the unexplainable, how to walk on water, how to change,
Right.
like, water to wine. If that is indeed possible, then why isn't this possible? Can we have we maybe misunderstood what things are?
Hmm.
Have we maybe like focused too much on one thing and therefore shut our brains down for what it was actually meant for? So, like, I think looking into the Bible, and when I say like it's like connect the dots.
Hmm.
I think if you really would live by the Bible, you would have to broaden your mind.
You have to.
You would have to broaden your perspective to receive what is said that is promised. And what conversation comes very often up when people ask me about my face tattoo is that it is an Celtic interpretation of Hel, the goddess of death,
Oh,
and
cool.
which is the third child of Loki, and a Jotun who Odin sent right after birth down to Niflheim um, to rule the realm of the dead. And she, to me, is an inspiration because she was very much judged by her appearance, and she got this really difficult task, but she did so in such grace and in such so anonymous. But still today she is one of those five big names that we call hell. When Christianity came, they took her name and named hell after it.
Sure.
So her name is in our daily vocabulary
Yeah. Yeah.
with God, with Buddha, with Allah, and
Yeah.
hell,
Wow.
Jesus.
Yep.
So I don't know if Odin knew exactly what he was doing by lifting her up, or if it was just her doing. But it really inspires me to like realize that we some of us get crappy tasks in life. We get difficult um, upbringing. We get difficult
Yep.
and really like harsh tasks, but we can deliver them with great um, humbleness and learn from it and grow from it.
Yep.
And that truly has been the inspiration that I took from her. And she
Wow.
is one of the gods of Norse mythology.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is.
That that is amazing. And it fits
Yeah,
you so well too.
thank
Seriously.
you,
Oh my God.
thank you.
It really does. No, and the backstory behind that is even better. Like I even love it because yeah, because I can only imagine it blows people's curiosity just by just looking at you. Like, why did you do that? It looks so good on you. I love tattoos. My God, please. Yeah, I wish I could get my whole face tatted. If only if I was famous or something like that.
Yeah,
But no, again,
yeah.
you're very fortunate. You can like you can rock it and you love it and you're proud of it. That's what I love about it is the proudness of it. And you're so bold. That's another reason why my curiosity was so sprung too. I was like, man, and I saw that you did a podcast before. I was like, who is this girl? And yeah, you're awesome. You're very smart and you're very knowledgeable. And again, I'm just having a great time learning new stuff about Iceland. Like again, my mind is still blown, and I have to have you back because I feel like there's just so much more. Because especially
Thank
if the
you.
government's messing with it, yeah, we're definitely having you back. And
I would love that. And my my message to people is that mostly, and I love that you say that that I have knowledge because I didn't even finish 10th grade. Um,
doesn't mean
and
shit
and
to me.
yeah, so it's like it's so important not to judge yourself um by the classification of society. we
Sure,
we have so much inside of us, and my road was really hard. My
sure,
parents are great people, but they had their really struggles. So one of them um, is a drug addict, and the other one alcoholic. But I
mm,
think that they did their very best to
sure,
bring to do their job, and we going through life, it was really hard. I got a disabled child very young,
mm,
and in that sense, I don't think that, our difficulties should define us if we want to like stretch far in life, or who you are, or your knowledge or intelligence. Um, you can you can go so far when
Yeah.
you decide to open your mind and
Yes.
take in the knowledge that the world gives us. And that has nothing to do with school or class
No.
system or, whatever. But
No.
being a kind person,
Yes. Yes.
personal growth, um, and just respect for everything around you, it's incredibly important, I think,
Yes.
to, yeah, going
No.
places.
Yes, I totally agree. I see that a lot in you because you do the anti-bullying when you go to these metal festivals and you promote that, and that's super awesome. I'm all about that. Uh, I
Yeah,
had my own
I
personal struggle. I had my own personal struggles too with growing up with dyslexia. It was very hard for me to spell and read, and I was very embarrassed to even tell my friends and stuff like that. And I had very bad ADHD too. I can relate to you to that sense. And yeah, again, in doing this right here is totally out of my element. I'm pushing myself all the time to do this. I love it. I love it, but
agree.
it's still out of my element because I do battle my own struggles with stuff, and
Yeah,
but again,
I uh, I
sorry.
did find a blessing joining MUP, Metalheads Against Bullying,
Hmm.
which is an organization started in 2015 here in Norway. Um, by joining them, I've found a platform where I can use my the hardness, bullying, changing schools. Went into 5 different schools.
Hmm.
And we moved around a lot, and you could never shoot down roots or get friends. And so, yeah, it was 10 years with bullying, both home and in school.
Oh my
And
God.
but using that experience where it has helped me grow, and what has helped me, it kind of gives you that purpose that, but I will use it for kindness. I will use it for something good, because this is ultimately a learning curve. Um, I was meant to learn something and then share it along the way. And I was taken in as a volunteer into MUP last year.
Mhm.
And this year
Oh,
we
you're a
went
cutie.
to,
He's a
Lenny
cutie.
really wanted to come on camera.
Oh, he's adorable. Oh,
He was with me this weekend at a festival where we sit down and we talk with people. We share knowledge on like the awareness of mental health and the damages that bullying does.
yeah.
The statistic of suicide is horrendous, especially with men.
Yeah.
So waking up this mental health awareness in the form of metalheads, in form of like this strong structure, which people often see metalheads as like something tough, something that can't be like easily ripped down. And then we promote mental health, um, and we come in with our own experiences, and we like hold around people that have difficulties, and they share things, which is everything is confidential. And then we stretch out to those that in need. We take them to coffee, and we get
Oh,
something to eat. We
beautiful. That's
have
beautiful.
yeah. And the greatest thing, I think, is Prettier Scars, which is an event that MUP
Oh,
holds twice a year, where they have tattoo artists come in, and then they give away tattoos to cover up
oh,
scars from self-harming.
oh, that's
So
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm all
so
about that.
people get a new start. They cover up something that holds them back in form of work or like social gatherings. So they have given away more than 200 tattoos since they started Prettier Scars.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. That's so awesome. I'm so glad we're promoting this on our podcast because we're international. So we hopefully we'll have
Yeah.
some people in Iceland or Norway listening on this shit. Oh, that's so cool. Because you know what? Before I did this stuff, I used to be in a band called Bird's Eye, and I was the lead MC. Um, it was a uh, indie rock hip hop band. I'm a rapper, kind of like Rage Against the Machine type.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
my colleague Daniel also, before he started by podcasting, he was in a band in Germany doing like hard heavy rock and stuff like that. So the fact that me and him had those in our background and then we came together and started doing this is awesome. And meeting people from around the world. And again, I'm so all about the anti-bullying and what you do because I don't think the bullying ever stops at any age because I've recently lost friends over being a verbal punching bag when I'm just hanging out with them. And it's like, fuck, I get so much
Mhm.
anxiety just to hang out with these guys, just to fuck get, drilled on. I'm like, fuck that, it's not even fun to hang out with these guys. So again, I'm like friends that like, and I was going through a breakup too, and I'm still going through the breakup or the heartbreak, I should say. Um, but yeah, it's just weird times. And you guess you find out who your true friends are. But yeah, you're right. The bullying doesn't stop at any age. The kids don't do it. Adults still do it to each other. And like,
Yeah.
I thought we were just surpassed that. Especially when it comes from your friends, it hurts so much more. This is the lack of respect, especially when I'm going through my own pains and shit. That was the main reason why I was going through my heartbreak and I was, kind of releasing it to my friends, and then they didn't know how to handle it, and they're like, well, we'd rather not be around you or something like that. It's just like, and they,
Yeah.
when I'm around them, they talk shit about my ex-girlfriend and shit. Like, I don't know, it's just too much done. So again, I think you're promoting for adults too, obviously, and
The youngest is 9 that we've spoken to. The oldest was 95.
wow, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And
horrible. What
and
the fuck is wrong with these fucking people? I don't understand.
but we kind of also just we're really on that. It starts with me and you. It
Sure.
starts with taking a stand with yourself, and then, you know, and then, as you just said, we grow away from people that
Mm-hmm.
are negative because we
Yeah,
take a stand and we're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. This is harming.
it
And
is.
you grow away from people because you
Mm-hmm.
have self growth. And how tragic is that? What are friends for if not to support each other through hard
Yes,
times?
exactly.
That is
Yeah,
like the greatest thing with friends, that you can be
yeah,
yourself. And when you're having
exactly.
a really hard time, they will show up and sit with you in silence if that is all you want, but just knowing that they are there.
Mm-hmm.
So we go out like we are here, we see you, we hear you, and we acknowledge you. We all
Mm-hmm.
just want to be seen and, accepted. And if a friend cannot like give you that, like, which is kind of like the foundation of friendship, I would say that you have grown away from something very toxic. So
Yeah.
good for you.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you, Rona, for being such an open ear and being a friend.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. No,
Likewise.
yeah, exactly. You got my respect, and I'm so excited, like, to promote you and your stuff and the anti-bullying, everything, just because, especially Iceland too. I think everybody needs to know about Iceland and what goes around there. Shit, I was just dumbfounded. I was just like, why isn't Ancient Aliens haven't talked about Iceland yet? It's like, come on, they've been up for like 14 seasons. They should be up in Iceland right now. No, it's
I
really
think, and,
cool.
and I am so grateful for the Lord of the Rings, for Vikings,
Yeah,
for all these things that have been like touching down on our culture, because we are a nation of 390,000 people
yeah,
with a very dead language. But we do
yes,
learn English and one Scandinavian language part, like beside our own. But it's very hard to get this information out there because we are so like isolated. But it
mm,
is also one of the things that have helped us like within all
sure,
of this, like within the core. but yeah, like Wakanda, it's time to get out there.
Yeah, right. No, it's so
Time to
so
open
cool.
up the gates and let out some like knowledge and technology and yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. Well, again, you are keeping these stories alive and being knowledgeable, and that is so dope. I totally respect you for that. I'm so grateful that you even wanted to talk to me. I don't know if you were gonna like who is this kid? Like, who does he want
Oh,
to
I
talk
love it.
about? You know?
Absolutely love it.
Well, I don't
And
know.
and I
You
and
never
I
know with some
appreciate
people.
it.
Yeah,
I
no, of
truly
course.
appreciate it.
No,
Absolutely. And like we said earlier, how lucky are we to be living in this era where
yes.
we have technology to connect. Connecting with people is one of the most beautiful things. Like
Yeah. No, I agree.
absolutely one of the most beautiful things. And
I t-
I really appreciate you taking contact and wanting to speak with me about this.
of
And I
yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Like
don't
from the
thank
bottom of
you.
my
My
heart,
God.
and let me read this. Like, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah, for sure. The cutest dog in the world. My God. No, again, I'm definitely having you back on the podcast. We usually have sometimes we have big group chats too, and we kind of share ideas and make new friends. And again,
Oh my God, sounds
your
amazing.
Iceland is so unique in itself, just because the fact that the government and the people have such a strong belief, and it's real. So
Yeah,
again, that's fucking dope. It needs to be talked about more often on my podcast
I
right here.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
Cool. Wait, hey, before we uh stop all this, do you have any like contact information if people want to reach out to you, wanted to know more about Iceland, or maybe know about the anti-bullying, or if the festivals that you, it seems like you get into a lot of the music stuff, and because I know Iceland in general is like the big metal scene, isn't it? Just like all the heavy metal bands come out of Iceland, it seems like.
Yeah, well, actually, they come out of Norway.
Or Norway,
Norway,
okay.
Norway
Okay.
and Finland is like the Norway, Finland, and Sweden. They are
Yeah.
the holy grail of metal,
Yeah.
and it's truly amazing.
I'm a fan of the Dunsons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
These
love
are
it.
yeah, yeah.
Yuka, Irpi, you're known HP. I love those guys. Those are my dudes. If I ever,
Oh my
you know what?
God! And that the
I was
peak
this,
they had.
you know what? I'm friends with them on Instagram, all of them. I actually was this close of asking them to just maybe one of them to jump on my podcast, just to, just talk about their adventures.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they have some UFO stories or something crazy.
Finland is extremely like such a mysterious but such a beautiful country, and
Yeah.
we know nothing of them. They're
No.
similar to Iceland. We know so little about them, but they are just such cool people. Been there once and definitely going there again.
Cool.
Beautiful people.
Beautiful.
But
Awesome.
yeah, Metalheads Against Bullying, they have their own website, mob.no for Norway.
Okay.
And they actually go over, they're going over to Sweden as well, starting there as well. And just going out with this message like mental health. They do lectures on mental health awareness where they, you know, have these incredible people, strong people that have been broken throughout time, sharing their experiences. But they also do very like heavy practical work where they go within the school system. They
Oh,
go and talk and they support victims in cases that go for court and within the mental health system. So
wow.
they're starting a mental health revolution, and it's just a beautiful thing to be a part of.
It
Um,
is.
I'm on Instagram and Facebook, so if at any time somebody wants to reach out and just have somebody to listen or ask questions or speak to, I am always here. Just, send me a message and I will answer it. I go through them all. It's kind of an OCD, so I will see your message. So don't think that I, will ignore it at all. And yeah, just I'm happy to be out here. It took
Oh,
me some time to get myself to the point where I was ready to become, I think, the voice that I was meant to be.
yeah.
But I'm really happy to be here.
Well, cool. Well, who knows? You might get a phone call from me to be an open ear, so I can vent to you on
Absolutely.
my craziness. Actually, I'd
You
like
know
to
what?
hear. Yeah,
Do
like
that. I would really appreciate that.
would you?
Uh,
Oh, okay.
and I struggled with ADHD for a long time, and I have my diagnosis, but it doesn't define me. But damn, did I have to work, finding the ways to like live with it. And it's such a hard diagnosis to live with. It's invisible, but it does affect your brain in massive, like it's a massive effect on your brain. And so, if any time you feel
Okay.
like talking,
Well,
so
I got quite the story for you if you want to dig into it with me. That'd be really cool. All
yeah,
right. Well, I really appreciate you and your friendship. I love getting new friends. Again,
thank you, Justin.
I'm losing friends at the same time and gaining new ones like you. I'm more appreciative because especially Europeans are way better humans than here in America. I'm sorry, we have a bunch of crazy fucks here. So
Well,
I
sounds
rather
to
talk to
me
some
like
European people.
sounds to me like you are doing everything right, and personal growth is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And saying goodbye to old friends doesn't like we're not meant to share our path with people all the way. Some of them are there to teach us things, and then when we find out that it's time to say goodbye, thank you for walking this far with me, and I wish you the best. It's the greatest thing we can do because you open your door for a new person like me to come into your life and walk with you, the next part.
Oh,
So yeah,
thanks.
don't be afraid to like have growth and opening up new doors.
Oh, I, I won't. And on that note, I want you to stick with me for 2 more minutes and we'll end it right here.